Okay, so a little bit of a different video today. I know headset might look a bit odd. Hopefully the mic quality is okay. Because I was just doing my daily going through Quora, looking through the comments, notifications, etc. And there was a comment underneath one of the answers. It was an answer to how should I talk to people when I have nothing to say. People think I'm an introvert, blah blah blah. And at the end, I made a comment with the only one judging you is you. This coming from a guy who makes a fool of himself every day and is talking to people for a living. Which someone commented under, and yeah, they made a good point of, or they said I made a good point of that the only one judging you is you. And that kind of brought in some, I guess, some inspiration. So that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. A little bit more of a free video, which is why this is so spontaneous. I have honestly no idea what I want to say, but I just want to talk about it a little bit because so many people get into their own heads and think, um, for example, I struggled with this very early on when I went into self improvement. I struggled with confidence a lot. I went out in the streets and I thought, oh boy, everyone's judging me for the clothes I wear, for my haircut, for maybe, my skin isn't too good. Oh, what am I going to do? Even today in the morning, I judged myself for these two big boys here, which I have no control over. That's just my skin. But it's just me that's judging me that much. I mean, if you watch my videos, it's likely you don't really care that much about my skin complexion, I'd assume. And the same way, other people aren't going to judge you that much for the stuff that you do. The only one who's really your best or your biggest critic is you. And because of that, you hold yourself back so much. There's so much that you're not allowing yourself to do because you think you should be a certain place or you I just adjusted there just to be a bit more frame. Um, because you think that they judge you and you'll get less opportunities and you'll get less out of life because of what other people may think. And so you try to uphold a certain standard, and it's just not necessary because there's so much more you can give if you're just yourself. And it really shouldn't matter what you do. It really shouldn't matter how weird you are or, what kind of language you give out, what kind of things you say, I guess, or how many mistakes you make. I mean, just look at this video already, or or who looks at you. The biggest thing is that you're just honest with yourself and that you enjoy yourself for being you. And I'm gonna try to live by that a lot in these videos, at least as much as I can, so that hopefully I give you guys the freedom to be a little bit more open and be a little bit more self. Because if I can do it, you can do it too, type of deal, maybe. Um, that being said, if you ask any of my clients, they will also tell you that this is what I'm like in calls as well. I have sat here before with weird hat on, with just walking out of the frame after I made a point, with very weird things, not to mention all the really crazy analogies. But even though like some of those clients were pretty high end, and even though a lot of other people would have told me not to do that, I don't quite know what I really want to say with this other than just be more you. Be more yourself. Let more of that out. There's no one that judges you that hard. Most people are too involved in their own worlds. You're like, there's a really good movie example. I forget where I got this from. Maybe it was Tony Robbins. It was definitely, I read it somewhere, so this doesn't come from me. But you're like the extra in other people's movies. No one cares about the extra. If the extra goes flying around the screen after a big explosion, you go, oh, okay. And you focus back on the main character. And that's how other people treat you. Of course, if you're closer friends with them, you might be a supporting role. If you're really close friends, you might be the second main character, a supporting actor. But that's only in very small amount of cases. Most people just don't care. They really don't. You can go flying across the street and they go, "Oh no, how horrible!" And they might actually feel horrible, but 2 days later, they'll forget about you. Um, I mean, just ask yourself this: how many faces do you remember that? Well, okay, with Corona it's a little bit worse. But how many people do you remember that you interacted with? How many names do you remember just on Quora? How many faces do you remember from your usual walks? Likely none. Maybe a couple now that I asked you, but before then probably not. But I guess kind of to bring this back to a more real point again, when you're more yourself, when you're really more open, you allow other people to be more open around you, which makes them feel more comfortable. I'm assuming that you watching this don't feel any pressure to now really improve yourself. Maybe you feel a slight inclination to be more yourself. I hope so, at least. Um, but it's not like this is a hardcore black and white video where I'm telling you this is step one you need to do to get a better life, and this is step two, and this is step three, and blah blah blah. Because that's not what it's supposed to be. That's not me. Some people can really pull that off, and I would watch those people, and if they tell me to do something, I would be like, yes sir, and probably go out and do it. But if I tried to pull this off right now, it would not work. Um, and yeah, I just wanted to kind of make this point. Talked really fast, and now I feel like I'm out of things to say. I feel like there's still something more though, so I'll just keep talking. Hopefully it comes up. Yeah. So when you're really yourself, when you're really letting go of all of this other stuff, it also allows you to not only be more free in your approach because you will start enjoying the things you enjoy more and start liking the people you like more. It also makes you less afraid because you're not trying to hide anything anymore, which means the only reason things can fail is because other people don't like that version of yourself, which is totally fine. That doesn't mean that, um, that you're in the wrong. It's just a perspective thing. But you can't really fall on your ass because there's nothing that you hide that can be discovered that suddenly becomes this big, crazy, scary deal that everyone will shove in your face and now you have to defend yourself. None of that happens when you're just you. If people call me out on stuff on Quora, I'll probably tell them they're right. Like I'm not trying to be anything more. Sure, with some of the listicles, I do try to get more views in, for the business, but I write enough other stuff. So, and if you've looked at my recent answers, I try to just be much more open about that too. Um, so there's nothing people can really throw in my face, and if you're that honest, people can't throw anything in your face either. And you just have a lot more fun that way. You're a lot more carefree. Um, sure, that doesn't always go well in every situation. I probably wouldn't. Uh, there's some certain like if I was in front of the Queen of England, I probably wouldn't act quite as carefree. I doubt I'd be like really restrictive, but I'd probably follow the protocols, whatever they are. I don't know them. Um, at least a little bit more. Um, but I'd still laugh. I'd still smile. I still wouldn't take things too seriously. Worst thing that can happen is they throw me out, and that's that. And this attitude just builds upon your comfort with yourself. You have nothing to hide. What's the worst thing that can happen? Right? The worst thing that can happen is that the people that don't like that version leave, which is probably a good thing because then you don't have to pretend that much. And the people that do like you will start flocking around you and staying closer to you because you now give them more of that. Some of you may have to pretend a little bit at a job. I'll give you that one. But even then, do the necessary things that you need to do, and then after that, just be yourself. You don't have to be the perfect employee. In fact, I would argue that if you were just more yourself at your job, you would probably be a better employee than if you tried to pretend like you're the perfect one. If you become a little bit more vulnerable, if you laugh a little bit more, if you just enjoy what you do a little bit more and allow yourself to dive a little bit more in, you'd probably get more stuff done. Given the rules that your boss set, of course. Because if you're just yourself and just goof around all day, you'll likely get fired. Depends on your job. So do take this with a little bit of a grain of salt, but yeah, just at the end of the day, just don't try to judge yourselves that much. Because even if you chose to, for example, get this job where you have to restrict yourself, that was your choice. And you made that choice out of a moment where you needed that job or where that was the best possible option, where you maybe didn't have a lot of opportunities or did not have the energy to look for more. And that's totally fine. No one's blaming you for that. We always feel like we have someone like watching over our shoulder, looking at every little thing we do. But there's no one there. Look behind you. There's no one watching over your shoulder. Um, no one knows why you did what you did. No one knows why you chose that job or why you chose not to take another job or why you chose to date this person or not this person. No one's judging you for that other than you. And being someone that spends 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year with yourself, having a very judgmental person next to you is going to be quite stressful. So maybe just take it a little easier. Um, yeah, I think that's it. I think that's most of what I wanted to say. Please comment if this helped you, and if this was a video that you enjoyed, because I have no idea. Maybe this was just completely off track and no one can resonate with this, which is fine, but I want to give you guys a little bit more stuff. I'm just trying things out here, so yeah. Let me know. Hope people get something out of it. We'll see. Uh, yeah, have a great day, everyone. See you in the next one.